This is a short one like me. Dudes with Brews on the Porch presents Michael Brews.
Dude. Craft Brews and Casual Conversations joined with us once again to continue the longest streak of being the most reoccurring guest, Gough from Beernuts Productions, talking about his new flick. Gough, how you doing?
I'm very well, Drew, and you?
I'm doing good. A little tired. I'm ready for bed, and I gotta get up bright and early tomorrow morning. But it was always nice to kind of end the day on a high note with some laughs with a new flick, Biography of a Star. Christian Victoria is going on. So talk to us a little bit about that and what's going on with that.
Yeah. So like you correctly said, we do have a brand new film out. It's another mockumentary, so it's like a fake true Hollywood story type of a situation where we look at the life of Christian Victoria, who is a fake artist, painter sort of artist that I made up, and we interview a bunch of different people, art critics and his next door neighbor, his school teacher, and art historians, and all kinds of different folks to learn all about this celebrated artist.
Yeah, and the artwork itself is great, is wonderful. So I was wondering, when I'm looking at these masterpieces, who did you draw these? Did you think of them?
Well, I thought of them. So Ilya, that does all my artwork and all my props for all my films, I went over to her house and I said, I need 13 pieces of artwork, Ilya. And so I drew little sketches and told her what I wanted. And she looked at me kind of funny with some of them and said, yeah, I can do that. So I said, good. So, she's super talented, Ilya. So, because as you saw, there's a range of different kinds of artworks that Christian Victoria was responsible for.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were, like you said, they were interesting. And you know what? Honestly, I'm not surprised things like that don't exist in art museums these days. I think it's a very big possibility.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. So there's an art gallery that's opened up about 20 minutes from my house. And so I sent Ilya a text message one day, and I'm like, oh, have you been to the new art? I'm not going to say its name because we're now going to rubbish it. So I said, have you been to the new art gallery? And she's like, yeah, it's really bad, like really bad. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So the other day, it's near a movie theater. So I was going to watch a movie, and I thought, oh, I've got 20 minutes to kill. It's free to go in. So I thought, oh, I'll just go inside and see if Ilya was just being like an art snob, or if it is actually as bad as she says. And I walked around. I'm like, wow, this is really bad. So I called her up, and I'm like, if we start Christian Victoria's work like just randomly around this art gallery, it wouldn't look out of place. And she's like, I know. So yeah.
So this is something you looked at after the filming or before?
No. It was script and everything was all written and all the artwork had been done. It was about a week or so before we actually filmed the movie, but all of that stuff had already been done. So yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
So what was the inspiration for picking an artist? You've done the interview type shows where you always have like different themes, and you've really touched on all different sorts of people. So what led up to this artist of Christian Victoria?
Well, two things. Firstly, I wanted to do like a biography because I've never done a biography before. So like I wanted to do like a true Hollywood story kind of spoof sort of a thing. So that was my number one thing I wanted to do. And then it was like, well, who do I want to do it on? And I'm like, oh, I could do like a movie star. And I'm like, no. A singer. I'm like, no. And then I'm like, well, if you do like an artist, like a painter, it gives you a lot of room to be funny with the artwork. But also, I mean, those people are usually a bit eccentric and weird to start with. So you can usually have a lot of fun with that to start with before you kick off into my own brand of nonsense.
Right. And one of my questions too was, we've touched on a lot of your interview style of films. What's it like to write in this kind of format where you have to think of it like a biography, a ripoff of those true Hollywood stories? How do you How do you write for that? How did you prepare for that rather than or versus your interview style?
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult because I'm like, okay, I want to do an artist. All right, that's fine. So the first one or two things were like, I mean, we discussed a lot his series of paintings of tree frogs mating. So that was the number one thing that popped into my head. So okay, well we got that. That's his big claim to fame. But so I've got like his birth, and I've got his big claim to fame, and now I have to fill in everything else. So, like, 5 pages were really easy, and the rest was a little bit more tricky because it has to be, a cohesive story and narrative. It has to all make sense kind of make sense. But it all has to, tell an actual story of somebody's life. It needs to have highs, it needs to have lows and all that sort of stuff. And the one thing I did realize when I was about 3/4 of the way through was I was like, oh, wow, well, I can't make him as an old man because I'm already like, I'm running out of ideas. We're like 3/4 of the way through and he's only like 25 years old. I can't have him like to live to 100 because I'll never come up with that many ideas. I've used up all my good shit already. So I was like, we're going to have to kill him off early. So he doesn't reach 30, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's all right. And most, like in true artist form, they don't get recognized till they're dead. No.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. So that was a good get out of jail free card because, as one of the characters say, he was gone too soon before his time. So you could use all of those sort of cliches.
Yeah, and so when you're writing this, you're developing this story for Christian Victoria, but you're also developing these stories for the characters that are getting interviewed on that. So how did you go about that?
Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure I made a very conscious decision that we never ever see Christian Victoria. So I wanted to make that. That was another thing that I had at the front of my brain is I never want to see him. So I want to see everybody else, but never him. So then it was about all the other characters, and then it's just basically over the top stereotypes of all different. So you've got your art historian who's a walking stereotype, your art critic, your art lecturer. You got the next door neighbor who's just like your horrible old lady, and then you got So I wanted to have just your usual kind of outrageous stereotypes, which is what I do really with all my work. But I like playing with the stereotypes. So it was just who would be involved in this person's life, and then how can I make it big and outrageous?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you did a good job capturing that. I really like the guy when he's talking about the star rating system, with the 5.3.
Yes, yeah. And it was the first time I'd worked with Al, and he was really terrific. As you've seen quite a few of my films now, so you'll recognize quite a few familiar faces, but there were quite a few new ones in this one too. So I end up getting quite a few new actors involved with this one, and Al was one of them, and he was fantastic. He did such a great job.
Yeah, and that's got to be a fun part of the process. It's always nice to work again with some familiar faces, but also to bring new people to the table a little bit and see what other, talent is out there for current and future works, I would imagine.
Yeah, 100%. And also, look, whenever I write a script, so after I've written Christian Victoria and I sit down and I'm looking at all the characters and I'm like, well, the first thing I think of is, well, who do I know who could play these characters? And so that ticks, so Katarina, I've worked with her before. I thought she'd do a great job with her role, and Rebecca the same, and Kale the same. And then and also Craig the same. But then I had about 6 or so left over. And I'm like, well, there's nobody I know that really suits these other roles. So I'll have to do the audition process. So and you are right. It's fun getting the actors in. Sometimes it's not so fun because they don't sort of understand the jokes and they butcher your material, but they don't get the job. So, but it is fun when an actor comes in and they like Al walks in and he's like, what sort of an art critic do you, because he's actually a voiceover guy, Al, for cartoons, mainly for kids' cartoons. So he does voices is his thing. So he's like, what kind of voice do you want him to have? And there's a very pretentious movie critic here in Australia that's on the TV. And I said, oh, I want you to impersonate that guy if you can. And he absolutely nailed it. Like, it means nothing to you, of course, because you don't know the fellow, because he's only on Australian TV. But he's absolutely like, even the way he sits with the cross-legged sort of pose is identical to how this fella sits. So his impression of him was just spot on, and it made the character, because that was sort of the voice I had in my head when I was writing that character. So he's absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, and critics, I don't know if I'm sure America has like quote unquote famous, well-known critics, but I never really pay attention much to them. But because I just imagine that they're all dicks. So,
well, maybe they are. Yes, yeah, you're quite right. It's not something you see a lot of anymore. I think because technology is so fast with social media and stuff, the role of the critic is now everybody. Everybody's a critic. You don't turn on the TV for a TV show to tell you what movies are out and what people think, what the so-called expert thinks of them. That everybody's a critic, because after you see a film, you jump on social media and you go, "Oh, I really like that," or "I thought that was crap." So everybody's a critic. So it's kind of made the critic sort of obsolete a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, even like when I'm looking at movies on the TV or something like that, there's always the Rotten Tomatoes percentage now. Is that a big thing in Australia? The certified fresh or whatever the hell it is.
I've heard of it, but no. No is the short answer.
Okay.
I have heard of Rotten Tomatoes, but I haven't. I've never actually gone to like the website or anything of that nature. And we did have a very famous movie show over here called At the Movies, which is where this male presenter was based on. And it was funny because he was like this old prude, and he had this woman who was opposite, and she would always argue with him. And it was they were probably more entertaining than the actual movies and the reviews that they were giving. So I used to watch those two argue and bicker with each other because it was hilarious. So and they had a very dry sense of humor, which I quite enjoyed. My favorite line, this really tickled me. So obviously Nicholas Sparks, who did The Notebook and a bunch of other films like that. So the guy critic turns to Margaret, the lady critic, and he says, "Margaret, do you know what I'm looking forward to about retirement?" She says, "What's that?" He said, "The fact I never have to watch another Nicholas Sparks movie."
I like that. I
thought it was a wonderful line. So yeah,
I actually,
but, yes,
I kind of wear it as a badge of honor. I've never seen The Notebook. I know what it's about though.
Good for you. Good for you.
I'm also like now like, and I don't know if it's a badge of honor, but I've never seen Game of Thrones, and now
No, I've never seen Game of Thrones.
Okay.
No, so yeah, I'm with you there. It's not my genre, man. It's not something that appealed to me ever. So yeah,
I was just always too poor and I never had HBO, so I never watched it. But I probably would like it. But now it's just like, I've gone this far. Do I? What do I do? Like, I can't really hop on or watch it now and then post about it on Facebook. Be like, guys, I found this new show. It's called Game of Thrones.
You're like 3 years too late.
Yeah.
So yes, there's like I'm not a big TV watcher, to be fair, but when I do get into a show, I really get into it. So like, I remember when Breaking Bad was up and about, I was hooked. I was all about that. I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And yeah, there's a few shows like that I really get into, but I'm not a big TV kind of guy, which is kind of funny considering what I do for a living. I'm more of a movie kind of a guy.
Right.
So yeah, that's more my go. But in fairness as well, Australian TV is pretty crap. We don't have a great imagination. Well, no, that's wrong. I shouldn't say that. It's Australians do have a great imagination. It's the executives and people who work in the offices who don't fund these fantastic scripts and shows that get presented to them, and they stick with. In Australia, if it's not set at a hospital or a police station, you ain't getting funding.
Yeah,
so
it's like that in America too. Unfortunately, it's all, how many shows you got to watch where someone's dead, someone's in the hospital. It's like, I don't know. It's all the same stuff. They got 911. That's some show with Rob Lowe, or so there's some other one with Rob Lowe, and there's a hospital one. That's
it, man. If they don't have the nurses fucking each other, then that's all they got is the anaesthetist bones the nurse. Roll the credits. I mean, there's no. And it's really sad because I know a lot of people, obviously, in my industry, and there's some really talented folks with some really great ideas and scripts, and they always have to go either overseas to get them made, or they've got to do I do what I do to get my stuff made, but I'm the only one in Australia. Like, Beernuts Productions is Australia's only independent streaming service. Like, I'm the only person that does what I do. So, and that's kind of, it's good for me because it means I'm unique and special, but it's bad also because why aren't more people doing this? It's kind of unfortunate that a lot of great scripts never see the light of day because people in suits, are too conservative and don't have any kind of imagination.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, we'll never see the greatest movie ever made, or we'll never see the greatest TV show ever made because it probably never will be made.
Well, that's wrong. You just did. You watched Biography of a Star, Christian Victoria.
Fair enough. I take that back. But no, it was good. The one thing I noticed about this, so this one's about 32-ish minutes or so, 33 minutes, a little longer than what you normally might make. Was that a conscious choice, or was that just how it ended up going?
Yeah, no, it's more just how it ended up going. I was surprised because I never know how long a piece is going to be until we finish the edit. So I don't ever write my scripts to a time or anything of that nature. So it was funny because it was the opposite with Book Club, the last film I did. I was a bit disappointed that only came in at 16 minutes. I thought that would be longer, just judging by the size of the script. And with this one, I thought this one would be about 25 minutes, and it ended up coming in at 32 and a half. So, yeah, you just never know. But I think it's with this one, it's because there's a lot of monologues with everybody delivering their sort of bit to camera. So that drags it, well, not drags it out, but that makes it longer than it does on the page, if that makes sense. Because the general rule is 1 page equals 1 minute, but that's a very loose kind of rule. But that's why I thought Book Club was like 22 pages and ended up being 16 minutes, and this one was, I think, 28 pages and ended up being 32 minutes. So yeah, it's just how it is. I mean, the story takes however long it takes to tell, so I'm never concerned about the time because it's I don't want to ever overstay my welcome, but I don't want to underplay it either. So it's when I feel that the story's been told appropriately, then I put the full stop on.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I would imagine. I've never made a movie, so I'm going to take your word for it. But I was just curious about that. So in America right now, it's October, as it is in the rest of the world, and in Australia it's also October. But Halloween's coming up. So I'm interested to know, like, what's Halloween like in Australia? Is it hyped up? Are there haunted houses, attractions, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it is now. It wasn't when I was a kid, but I think, again, because of technology, we've become more American. So over the last probably 10, 15 years, it's gone like through the roof. And now Halloween's like a massive big deal and a big thing. So, but when I was a kid, it was a thing, but it was never a big thing. So I missed out on all the good times. But it is now. So I got a friend of mine who's got a couple of kids, and they get all dressed up and they get really excited and go around and get all the candy and whatnot from all the people. So yeah, so it is a big thing now. And I'm not sure in regards to house decorating. I'm sure there's a few folks out there that probably do that, to be fair, but I'm not sure that I live in a bit of a miserable kind of an area full of old people. So I don't think there'll be too many. I don't think there's too many around where I live. But I reckon if I went round to Surface or Main Beach area nearby, I reckon there'd probably be a few decorations. And I know also in the stores, like in your department stores, they got big Halloween displays and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, they never used to. So yeah, it is definitely a big thing nowadays.
Well, eventually, if all the old people could potentially turn into Halloween decorations themselves.
Yes, Weekend at Bernie's style.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Halloween's kind of a big. It's not a huge deal in America, but it's definitely celebrated. And yeah, the decorations. I got the decorations on my house. It's always a lot of like inflatable stuff, and I try to avoid those because my dogs will rip them. But It's something I love. I love Halloween. I like Halloween more than Christmas, just because I just like it. It's fun. So as a kid, then like how were like horror movies and stuff perceived? They would just kind of come out throughout the year, or how did that go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not a big horror's not really my genre, but you are correct. Horror films sort of come out sort of, just periodically through the year. There's always one at the cinema playing at any given time. Actually, speaking of such things, Maddie, who does the makeup for the Beernuts Productions film, she wasn't able to do makeup on the last one, unfortunately, but she usually does makeup for me. She does, because she's a special effects makeup artist,
Mhm.
on her Instagram, she has the most awesome Halloween clips. They're just, in fact, she got in trouble for one because they or deleted it or blocked it or whatever it is because it was too graphic for Instagram, apparently. Like she pretends like she's cutting her tongue, and then the next clip is her with like blood coming out of her eyes and stuff like that. So it's like all makeup, obviously, completely fake makeup, but she does a really solid job. She's just done a bunch with Chucky from yeah, where she's got herself like made up as Chucky and doing like a really creepy thing to camera, and it's super cool. Like, she's very clever and very, very imaginative. So she's done a few with Harley Quinn as well, where she's made herself up like Harley Quinn. So she's really cool to follow on Instagram, Maddie. So if you'll have to if you look up Beernuts Productions Instagram and go through the people I'm following, you'll see Maddie Makeup Artist in my follows, and just give her a follow too, because especially around Halloween, she's worth a follow because she takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you said you're not really a horror guy, but I think you could make a pretty funny and good horror movie, or at least a good horror mini film or something, like short film. I think you could do it.
Well, I could do like a horror spoof. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
Something making fun of the horror sort of genre. I reckon I've got that in me for sure. So I reckon I could do something along those lines. That could be something I want to do. I remember, this might make you laugh, Drew. So you've seen quite a bit of my work. Would you say that I have my own kind of style, my own kind of sort of humor, sort of that when you watch one of my films, is it fairly safe to say you can go, that's a goth movie? Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when I first started out, I sent, because I've got a couple of feature film scripts that I've written, and so I sent one to a big studio here in Australia, and the guy emailed me back. He's gone, look, I really like the script. That's why I've taken the time to email you, because usually I'm a jerk and would just ignore you. But I actually really liked it. But I got to tell you, it's just not appropriate for us, because we want to do lots of they just released Red Dog with Josh Lucas, which is an Australian film, but they used Josh Lucas, the American actor. But they just did Red Dog, which was a very Australian family-friendly kind of film, and it had gone like bananas at the box office. And he's like, we're only doing family-friendly films from now on. That's all we're going to do. And I'm like, oh, okay. Can I send you another script? He's like, yeah, if you want to. So I sent him another script, and he emailed me back. He's gone, look, buddy, it's the same thing. I know if you've got a good family script inside you, I'm happy to read it, but I can't produce what you're sending me. So, well, that's a shame. So my humor was lost on him, because they were desperate for family friendly, and it's just not in me to write a family friendly sort of. I'd start off well. The first few pages would be super family friendly, but then I'd go off on one of my tangents, and it would go downhill very quickly.
Yeah, I think it would be difficult to try to tunnel vision down to a family friendly thing, especially with your type of humor. And I prefer your type of humor over a family friendly thing, like, in my opinion.
No, well, I'm with you, Drew. That's why I didn't do what he wanted me to do, and I kept doing my own thing, because you got to be true to yourself, which is the moral of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So is with your feature films, is it something that eventually you want to get made, or do you need?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you need the backing of a studio?
Well, no, they're still on the computer, ready to get made. So as soon as Beernuts Productions has the funding to make them, they'll get made. But I just don't have that kind of money at the moment. So hopefully all your listeners can jump on board and download a couple of films, and that would, of course, help the mission. But so I just keep doing my thing. As you could tell over the years that we've been talking, the films have been getting slightly bigger and bigger with cast and all that sort of stuff, and a few more, expensive kind of different bits and pieces have been making their way inside, like with Christian Victoria, the artworks and all that sort of stuff. So, they are getting bigger and better, so to speak, as we go on. So hopefully if this progression keeps happening, soon I'll be able to get stuck into one or two of my feature films, which would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So what you're saying is all the listeners of Dudes with Brews on a Porch need to dump their life savings to beernutsproductions.com and be entertained for, an eternity, but also make sure you have enough money to pay your cellular device bill so you can stream them.
That seems totally fair.
And I think they should do it. And I think they'll provide you with mountains of cash. And then you'll make your feature films, win some Oscars, and then you fucking hit the big time.
Yeah, man. And I'll take you all out for beers. My shout. So
it's the least you could do.
It's it's like the circle of life, Hakuna Matata. That's what we do. So you make me rich, and I'll buy you tons of beer. It's really couldn't be more simple.
And then at that point, we can finally get my role, my debut in the acting and film world with Anne Hathaway.
With Anne Hathaway. That's exactly right, because I'll have the money where it won't matter. I'll pay her so much she won't care who she's making out with.
That's right. You'll not only will you have the money, you'll have the prestige. You'll have it.
That's true. She'll be falling over herself to be in a Beernuts Productions film. In fact, she'll pay me.
Yes, that's what we like. That's what she liked. So awesome. Well, let's talk to the listeners a little bit. Tell them how they can watch the new film, and then what have you been drinking these days? Anything but outside of the ginger beer stuff?
Yeah, actually. I'll tell you what, a local Irish pub, because there's a local Irish pub that I really enjoy going to, and I might have already told you this. I hope I haven't, but they've got these, so you can buy obviously a pint of Guinness. Which are you a stout man? Do you like your stouts, your big heavy beers?
Yeah, I like those.
So you can buy your Guinness, or they've got Kilkenny, which is a traditional Irish beer. Have you ever? I really enjoy Kilkenny. Actually, have you ever enjoyed a Kilkenny?
No, I have not.
Oh man, you got to get on those. They're really nice, but they're one of those where the head is like you need to. It takes them like 5 minutes to pour it because the head is just outrageously big. So they got to sort of pour it 3/4 of the way, let it settle, and then they finish pouring it. It's one of those sorts of beers, but it's really delicious. Anyway, they were doing specials on a baby Guinness. So you can get a shot, and it's just a shot of a baby Guinness. So what they do is they fill it 3/4 with Kahlua, and then on the top they put Baileys, so it looks like a little baby Guinness.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So you can drink a pint of normal Guinness and a baby Guinness. So obviously it's incredibly sweet because it's Kahlua and Baileys, but it's they go down pretty easy, let me tell you. So, and they were doing them a special for like $6, which in American money would be because I think it's like 70 cents to the dollar. So I think it'd be like $5 American. So it's even cheaper still. So they were having a special on them. So I was drinking pints of cider because they were doing specials with cider. So I was doing pints of cider and shots of baby Guinness. And it's fair to say I got myself reasonably shit-faced. So it was good times for me.
That could be the name of one of your future films, Reasonably Shit-Faced.
No, it's cool. Actually, if on my Instagram, on occasion, if I have a big day and I go to the pub after the day, I'll put a photo up of what I'm drinking. And the other day, I went to the pub because it had been a big day, and for some reason, I don't know why I choose what I choose sometimes. It's weird. I was getting shots of tequila and steins, not pints, steins, which is a liter. So I was getting steins of ginger beer with a shot of tequila. And the the barman thought I was a bit strange, but it was going down all right. I was enjoying it. So yeah, but I'm just trying to think with actual beers. There's no, there's not nothing overly exciting going on at the moment. But I'm just trying to have a bit of a thing. No, I can't regale you with any. I've got to get into the beers so that next time I speak to you, I seem to drink everything else other than, don't
That's
I?
all right.
But, yeah. What about you? What have you been getting into?
I've been having some stouts lately because it's kind of that season with fall, at least in Wisconsin. It's getting a little cooler, so kind of the stouts and the porters are kind of the in-season beers, and then the Oktoberfest. So
yes, Oktoberfest.
Yeah, Wisconsin, big German heritage
yes, of course,
state.
Of course, yes.
So a lot of Oktoberfests are coming out now, and those are delicious. But I've been sipping on some bourbon stouts, the stouts that are aged in the bourbon barrels, and they're really good. They can be pretty boozy, sometimes anywhere from 13 to 17%. But I had one that they mixed some like pistachios in them as well.
Oh, okay.
In the brewing process, so it's got a nice little taste to it, and it's they're not beers that you just like crush. They're beers that you sip over some time, and you can really enjoy them. So I have been drinking some of those. Been trying to getting away from the IPAs, but I still drink them. I still love them, but I'm trying to go with what's in season right now. I'm trying to be cultured.
You got to go to your local liquor store and see if they can get in any of the Kilkenny, the Irish beer, and see what you think of the Kilkenny beer, because obviously it's brewed in Kilkenny, one of the counties in Ireland, hence the name. So that's a good. I tell you, when I was in New York City, so this is a little while ago now, I went to a pub which was right next door to where I was staying, and they brewed their own beer, and they had their own stout beer, and they called it Arrogant Bastard Ale, and it was 12%. And It was actually really nice. It wasn't unpleasant at all. And I had a few of them, and I probably turned into a bit of an arrogant bastard. It was a good beer. So yeah, that's a nice beer story for you. When I was in New York many years ago, I had Arrogant Bastard Ale, which was quite good.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for the Kilkenny, and then see if I can get my hands on it. I would imagine I could. But Gough, let's talk about how can people watch the new film, watch all the other films, listening. You got the podcast, you got all that stuff going on. Where do they go?
Absolutely. So yes, beernutsproductions.com is the one-stop shop. So just beernutsproductions.com, and you can download the new film, Biography of a Star. Like you say, all the films are up there, all the audio downloads, books, plus the podcast is all available on all your podcast providers, plus through the Beernuts Productions website as well. And of course, we're all over social media. And the other thing that we've been doing recently as well is on our YouTube channel, we've been posting some behind the scenes stuff. So I've had Kira, who works for me, who's an incredibly talented young lady. She's been doing some really funny behind the scenes clips and stuff, which people are really enjoying. So if you go to the Beernuts Productions YouTube channel, obviously like and subscribe, but check out some of the behind the scenes stuff that Kira's been doing. It's really funny and really good. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Gough, once again, it's been an honor to have you on the show, and I appreciate you always coming on here. You always letting me watch the films. It's always a lot of fun. Thanks again for being on.
Absolutely, Drew. It's always a blast chatting to you. You have yourself a good sleep, because it's late at night there for you. So you get yourself some shut eye.
Yeah, bedtime indeed.
See you, buddy.
Pew pew audio. Goodbye, everyone.